Hey everybody, Christina here from Creations with Christina, and today's video is a card that I'm putting together using a die cut from the Cricut Explorer design space. It's from the Jolly Holidays Cricut cartridge, and I have a whole separate video on how I laid this out on my design space program if you guys want to check it out. I did cut the image just about 3 1/4 for those of you that want to do it using the regular Cricut Explorer if you should happen to have this cartridge. And I did all my die cuts on some basic cardstock, Nina Solar white for the umbrella and the center of my penguin, some black cardstock, which I believe is from Stampin' Up! For the base piece, and then my pattern paper for this comes from the DIY Simple Stories. I am using my Zig 2A pen. This is one of my favorite pens. I got this not too long ago. I really like this over the chiseled pen. It's more of a pen rather than the other one that has a foam tip to it. And I really like this. I think it flows a little bit better. And I'm using that to do all my die cut pieces. I've always used the Zig 2A glue pens for my die cuts, and I just find that the best. And I went ahead and added my umbrella, which I just cut out in the white in the center of my penguin, again, just doing the white. And now I'm going to add the little penguin's feet, and that I cut out in some, I want to say it's Tangerine Tango Stampin' Up! Cardstock. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And I just die cut those in those little tiny pieces. I know on my Cricut Explorer, or my Cricut Expression, when I tried to cut these little pieces, it never would cut very well, especially with thick cardstock like Stampin' Up! But these cut beautifully on the Cricut Explorer. So I went ahead and did the 2 feet and the little beak to the penguin, and again that little tiny beak just cut perfectly. Used to tear on me terribly with the other my other Cricut. So definitely loving my Cricut Explorer. So I'm just going to go ahead and use my tweezers to put down those little tiny pieces and adhere my penguin's little beak. And then once I have that done, I am just going to go ahead and add the umbrella. Like I said, that umbrella top I cut out using some Simple Stories DIY pattern paper. It's from the, I think it's DIY Christmas is what it's called. And I just went ahead and added some regular 2A tape to that, or adhesive, and then I'm going to use my little Zig 2A pen to get into those little tiny pieces, so I make sure I have enough adhesive going all over the place there. I am an adhesive junkie. I just put it everywhere. So I'm just going to add that right to the very top of the umbrella. And then the next thing I want to do is I just want to add a little detail to my penguin. I am using some Copic markers. I did some R20 for its cheeks, just to give him some cute little rosy cheeks. And then I blended that out with my Zero Blender pen. And then once I have that done, I am going to be doing just a little bit of highlighting on the beak and the feet using the YR14 marker. And I just found this gave some nice detail, added a little dimension to my penguin, and I'm just doing just some basic stuff, no blending, no anything, just adding the color that I thought matched pretty close to the penguin's beak and feet. And you'll see more better detail of this in the photos at the very end of the video. So the last thing I want to do is kind of add some detail around the white part of my penguin. I didn't want it to be flat. I just wanted to add a little bit of shading to this. I'm using the C0 Copic marker, which is, I think it's Cool Gray is what it's called. Yeah, Cool Gray number 0. And I'm just using that to add a little shade around the outside because I didn't want everything to be stark white. I wanted to have a little bit of detail. And then I'm adding the next darker color, which is C1, which is the Cool Gray number 1 pen. And I'm going over the same section with the lighter color, the C0, and that just adds some nice shading, gives a little detail. I didn't want it to be perfectly white, but I wanted to have that illusion of being white and some shading on it. So I went ahead and added that all around the outside, and then I took my blender pen and blended that out just to kind of smooth all of those lines out a little bit better. So once I have that all blended in, I am going to add just one little final touch to that, and I'm going to be taking the C1 pen, which is the darker of the grays, and just adding a little bit of color going right down the handle of my umbrella. So real simple coloring, but it was just a little bit to add some detail to that. And then I also decided I wanted to add a little detail to the umbrella to get, again, giving that shading and giving it that little extra something. So I took my I believe this is the, I want to say this is the C1. Yeah, it's the C1, which is the darker of the two gray colors that I picked. So I just added the shading going around all around the outside of that umbrella. So you can see really how much that gave just a little bit of extra touch to the die cut piece. I am using a pink paisley Merriam Bright paper set that I picked up at, I believe it was AC Moore. Okay, my mother picked it up for me. She was there and she said, oh, I found this really cute paper. I said, get it. So I just took that, and I'm using some of my Simon Says Stamps dies. Again, I think I've said this in a couple videos now. I'm obsessed with stitched dies. I love the stitched detail. So I am using the die, the rectangle die that comes from the Simon Says Stamps. It's called the Bundle of Stitched Shapes. And I just die cut the pattern paper from that. And then I took my Nina Solar White cardstock, and I'm using the Stitched Slopes and Hills, which is also a Simon Says stamp die. They come attached. I took these two pieces together because I didn't like how far apart the die cut was from the stitched piece. It actually turned out to still be a little bit further apart, but it was okay. I really liked that detail. So then what I did was I took my rectangle die that I used for my pattern paper, and I used that to die cut the little sloped hill, which I'm going to use down towards the bottom of my card. Gave that stitched detail all the way around my card. So I really like adding that stitched detail everywhere. So I went ahead and die cut that one. And then I took another one of the sloped hills from that die set and die cut another piece of my Nina Solar Bright cardstock, and then did the same thing with the rectangle by die cutting that piece out as well. So both of those layers have the stitched details. After I did it, I probably didn't even have to do that back piece because it ends up getting covered most of the way except for down the one side. But at least I know it's there. So I'm going to go ahead and start putting this together. I am going to be using the Warm Winter Wishes. It's the Lawn Fawn stamp set. It's Winter Foxes was the name of the stamp set, and that sentiment comes from that stamp set. It says Warm Winter Wishes, and I'm using my Versum Fine Black Onyx ink, my favorite ink for stamping out sentiments. I love just how crisp that black ink is. So I stamped that down at the bottom of my slope that I'm going to be putting up front, and then I'm going to start putting my card together. The pattern paper, you can't see it very well in the video, but it has a really soft gray diagonal stripe. So I'm just going to start adding all my layers. I'm going to take my larger hill that I die cut and put that towards the back. And then I'm going to take my Warm Winter Wishes one that I stamped out and add that right above that. I could have added dimensionals to or foam adhesive to this, but I decided just to leave it flat because I'm going to be adding some dimension to the back of the pattern paper, so that'll pop up just fine. I've also added it to my penguin. So I threw some foam adhesive on the back of my cute little penguin, added that to the front of that little panel, and then before I adhere this down, I am going to go ahead and add some baker's twine. This is from Stampin' Up. It's just some baker's twine that I had in my stash. It's the black baker's twine. I wrapped it around a couple of times and just kept it up towards the top, and I'll then go ahead and tie a real simple bow at the top. I was having a hard time trying to figure out what I was doing. My brain was trying to tell me, get the scissors and cut that off, but it just wasn't working. But I did finally figure out what I was doing. So I just cut that off and then went ahead, and I found with baker's twine, I'm better when I just tie a knot rather than trying to tie my bow while holding it. So tying a knot first helps keep it nice and taut. That was taut and tight at the same time. Taunt. So I just went ahead and tied that on, spread out my strands that I wrapped around, and then for me, when I tie a bow, I have to turn my image upside down and go ahead and tie my bow. So I went ahead and tied my bow and then trimmed off the tails after I've gotten it all straightened out. So once I have that all done, I'm just going to go ahead and add some foam adhesive to the back of my panel, and I am adhering this down to, and I love the 3M foam tape. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump there, but I love the 3M foam tape. It's not super thick. It's just like the perfect dimension for me, and it's great for if you're going to mail your cards. So I added some in the back of that panel, and then I took my little image there and adhered it to a standard A2 size card, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and that is a piece of black cardstock that is, I believe, from Stampin' Up. And then I took another panel, which is 1/4 of an inch smaller, and added that to the inside of my card. And because I just wanted to add a little detail, I grabbed another one of my Lawn Fawn stamps, and that stamp is the, I believe it is the Winter Penguin stamp. Just took the snowflakes out of there and stamped out in the top and the bottom the 2 different size snowflakes, just to kind of give a little decoration to the inside. I didn't add a sentiment to this because I'd usually just fill up the inside with my my greeting. So that is my card for today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you have any questions about anything that I did, I will definitely be glad to answer them. A link to the video that I did for the instructions on how I set up the penguin is down below in the YouTube description and over on my blog. And as always, the supplies are listed below and over on my blog as well. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and subscribe if you're new to my channel. Thanks everybody for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.